Good day, my name is Charles McCall, and I'm a Christian leader. I've been involved in Christian leadership for more than 40 years. I've been a pastor, an associate pastor, director of an international organization. I've lived overseas and in the United States. And over these years, many years, leadership has been a primary focus for me because I've realized that without a clear leadership pathway, eventually we're going to end up in a vacuum, and our organization, our church, our business is going to be hurting. And so this has kind of been a speciality for me over these many years. And so I was encouraged to create a leadership pipeline and make it available to others outside of the churches and the organizations that I've personally been involved in. And so I want to welcome you to Leadership 101. Leadership 101 is the beginning, and there will be also a Leadership 201 and further on. But this is a Leadership 101, and I want to encourage you to consider, in fact, I think it's absolutely essential for the health of your church, the health of your organization, the health of your business, and the help of your school to create a leadership pipeline. What is a leadership pipeline? The leadership pipeline is a systematic pathway to raise up leaders at all levels. There's at least five different levels of leadership that we'll be studying about. Raise up leaders from children to adulthood to serve God in His calling for them in their sphere of life, in every sphere of society. And so a leadership pipeline is systematic, it's planned, it's a priority. And so we make room for it in our church, our organization, our business, and our school to invest in leaders to raise them up to a new level. And it focuses at all levels. As I said, there's 5 levels of leadership, and we'll explain that later, but you're focusing on all levels of leadership, starting, if you're in a church particularly, starting from children or starting from new employees or new students and all the way up through adulthood. So it's comprehensive. It's not just a class. And I'll be sharing with you a free lesson on how to set up, a recommended way to set up a leadership pipeline in your church, in your business, in your school, in your organization. But it's systematic, it's planned, and it's comprehensive. But I want to ask why. You may ask why. Why would it be important, or why would it be necessary to create a leadership pipeline? Well, I have 10 reasons I'm going to share with you on why it's important, why it's essential to create a leadership pipeline in your church, in your organization, in your business, and in your school. Number one, as John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on leadership. I don't know if he made that up himself or if he got it from someone else, but it is true. Everything rises and falls on leadership. If the leadership at every level, the low level, middle level, and senior level of leadership, if the leadership is weak, well then the organization, the church, the followers are going to be weak. If the leadership is lacking, if the leadership is incompetent, if the leadership is inefficient and ineffective, and they're just not quite to the level where they need to be, that's going to result all the way down the line, and it's going to result in the fruit and the results that you want to produce. And so everything rises and falls on leadership. The second reason that we want to create a leadership pipeline is that God has called mankind to know Him, to reflect His values and character, to rule and reign in every sphere of life, and to help others to do the same. This is found in Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 28. And so we must do this in every sphere of society. And so this is, again, beneficial for you. If you're a pastor, you're probably thinking in terms of raising up leaders in your church. Let me tell you that that's only one sphere in society, and that's essential. We want that, and we're going to help you do that. But if we can shift the mindset, is that the local church raises up leaders to have positive influence in every sphere of society. Reason number 3 why you should create a leadership pipeline. Our leadership as Christians must reflect God's values and principles in our family, church, work, and relationships. And if the church doesn't teach this to God's people, they'll only know the ways of the world. And so we're called as leaders. That's the very first lesson in this leadership pipeline, that you were born to lead. And so we're mankind, we're called to be leaders. And God has a standard, and God has values, and God has principles that are successful leadership principles and values, and that reflect Him. And if the church doesn't take the lead in communicating that to God's people, well, then the only option is the world, which sometimes is not only displeasing, but actually opposite of God's way of doing things. The fourth reason is a leadership pipeline will produce generations of competent, efficient, and effective leaders and helpers in your church and organization. Generations. So that's the mindset. This is not just we're not just talking about a program here, starting a program, but we're talking about a culture in your church that will last beyond you, that will go from your generation to the next generation to the next generation with a continually full pipeline of creating leaders for future generations in your church and in every sphere of society. Many churches are stagnant and don't receive the financial or volunteer support that they need because they have low capacity leaders. And so it's to your benefit in your church, in your organization, your business, or your school, it's to your benefit to raise the level of leadership capacity, because you will receive greater benefit. You'll be able to accomplish your goals. You'll be able to receive more of your business, more customers, school, higher level students that you're sending in society, and the same with your church, higher level of efficiency and competency and effectiveness in your leaders and helpers in your church. The fifth reason why we want to create a leadership pipeline is that if you don't train your own leaders, you'll have to bring in someone from the outside, but often they don't have the same DNA that you have, and my experience is that can create problems. Is that true? And so you will have to bring in somebody from the outside because you don't have the leaders within your church, because you don't have a leadership pipeline. And so you'll have to bring them from the outside. And as I said, that they often don't have your DNA, they don't have your way of thinking, they don't have your heart, and that can create problems. Reason number 6, a leadership pipeline will produce competent, efficient, and effective leaders raised up from your own children, your own youth, and your own adults that do have your DNA, that do have your churches or your denominations or your personal values. Reason number 7 is that your church will attract others because of your reputation is not only an evangelistic discipleship making church, but also as a leadership training center. And so you'll begin to develop that kind of reputation in your community and possibly even in the nation. And reason number 8, many church leaders and helpers lack basic leadership understanding and skills, and even some senior leaders. This is my experience, is that many church leaders and staff and workers in the business world and organizational world, they lack the basic skills because they have never been systematically taught. And that's what I'm going to offer to you. I'm going to offer a good system, one part of the system that I'm going to help you to create that will help create the kind of people that will lead your church, your organization, your business, and your school into the future. Reason number 9, your church will create a culture and a reputation that you value developing people's capacity. Others will come to train with you, and they'll take it back to their churches and to their organization, their schools, and their businesses. And so that's going to be the result, is that you will develop a reputation. Others will come and feed from you, and then they will go back and they will carry it on. And the 10th reason on why we should create a leadership pipeline is your church, organization, school, business will be more competent, more efficient, and more effective than before. And so I've created a ready-made, faith-based leadership one-on-one course that as a component of your leadership pipeline. It's not the whole thing, but it's one component of the leadership pipeline. And again, I'm going to share with you in a free video I'm going to offer to you on how to create a comprehensive leadership pipeline. But this course, Leadership 101, and the following course, Leadership 201, will provide a faith-based, a ready-made leadership course that either you can study yourself, and then you can turn around, take my notes, and teach it, or you can bring your leaders together, your helpers together, and you can watch the videos together, and there are break into groups, questions and answers to do as well. And if you use this And if you follow up with it, it will increase the capacity of your staff and leaders at all levels. I believe it really is. It's good stuff, I tell you that. And if you take it, and if you follow up on it, if you just take it, watch the video, teach the lesson, and go home, it's probably not going to be very much use to you. It will be some use to you. But if you take it, and if you follow up on it, and I can help you with that, then it's going to produce great positive results in your church, in your organization, in your school, and in your business. And so this course is faith-based, but it will be useful. It will be useful for churches. If you're a pastor, it will be useful for churches. It will be useful for individuals who just want to grow and develop their leadership understanding and capacity. It will be beneficial for organizations as you want to train and raise up stronger staff. And it will be beneficial for businesses, and it will be beneficial for schools. And so I encourage you to consider this component of a leadership pipeline that you're going to develop, and you're going to move into the future, and you're going to rise to a new level.